giving us some issues. So we're just going to go live. I am recording to
On
Zoom
Team
right
Inspire
now.
Change, Marissa?
Yeah, but it says it's just preparing, so it's not doing it. It's just spinning, but that's okay. I'm recording it on the cloud, so we will have it. I want to get right to our guest, everybody. So welcome. I hope everyone's had a wonderful weekend. You know, we had an auto ship today. I hope you're feeling good about that. And if it's not exactly where you want, you know, just really be reaching out more to people and talking to them. I just saw that I had a new a client or a customer who hadn't ordered in quite a while, wasn't returning any of my texts. And through my app, my LifeVantage app, thank God for that app, it showed that she had an order going out and for me to engage, and I did. So she ordered 2 hair care sets, you guys, and I tagged her on the newest hair care post that I put on on Vitality Living on Facebook. And so I just sent her Unlocking Your Potential video from the app and just connected with her, let her know that the membership is free to join this month and that we could talk more about that if that's something that interests her. So really be putting that out there, you guys, and talking to people and looking for your customers, looking in your back office and seeing who's doing what. And if they've got over 100 PV, everybody should be reaching out to those people and letting them know about this, you know, free distributorship and how they can actually, you know, earn commissions. So with that, I want to go right to our special guest, Sarah Smith. Oh my gosh, is brand new Elite Pro 7. She's from Maine. I know some of you on this call already know her because you met her up at the Northeast LifeVantage Academy trainings. And Sarah just recently spoke on the mastery training a week ago Saturday, and she and her husband rock my world. She's a mom, and she is also a massage therapist, tired of trading, you know, money for time. Many of you can relate to that. Angel is a massage therapist on this call and yoga teacher. And so anyway, I just love her heart. And the funnest thing was this summer when LifeVantage, when we earned our trip to Ireland, I met her in the airport. And we were getting food, and Cynthia Greenwald was also with her. And then we ran into each other in Dublin after the whole Ireland thing. Go figure. There was this great connection, great energy, and she knew who I was, and she knew I was Mia's sister. And then we run into her in the Book of Kells in Dublin after the trip. So it was just meant to be. My husband and I are looking in that museum, and all of a sudden I look up and I'm going, oh my gosh. So anyway, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. It is just an honor to have you on the team call. You know, your new Pro 7 just hit it in March, right?
End of March. That's right.
What I know what it's like. It's like birthing a baby, but what did you feel like?
It is. Well, I felt like, thank you for having me on this. I'm totally honored. And, you know, when you're on a trip like the incentive trip and you run it, you don't run into every elite all of the time. And Marissa, from the airport to, you know, the ending time in Dublin, we ran into each other. So we were meant to be connected, you know, during this trip. And of course, you know, I absolutely love Mia and Don. We spend our LifeVantage Academies together, and we're part of kind of the Team New England crew. So, so it's really good to be on here. Thank you. And, you know, how it felt for, you know, for us to hit 7, you know, our story is we have been with LifeVantage for 7.5 years. And we hit Pro 5, right? Probably in the first 18 months, we were Pro 5, and then we stagnated at Pro 5 for a number of years. And then it was about, you know, kind of looking at our journey. I mean, we are the type of people, one, who plugged into every single event. We never missed the LifeVantage Academy. We never missed an event, a major event. And both of us were going to the events. So for those of you that are in relationships where you're, you know, inviting your spouse to come and really wanting to do the business together, it's a pretty big financial sort of sacrifice to jump right in. And, you know, our story is, and just so you know where we come from, is that we live in Maine. My background is in the healing arts. I've been a body worker and massage therapist for 18 years. And very entrepreneurial. Like I didn't want to go work for a clinic as an employee because I really wanted to have the freedom to schedule my clients when I wanted to and set my own rates and bring in my creativity into my space and my clients and, wellness. So, kind of stepped out of that thinking that I had freedom when really I had 5 different hats with 5 different jobs that were taking up more time. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll expand into a clinic setting. And then I was like, well, I talked to a lot of clinic owners and it was really about managing people. And I didn't want to go from having my hands on bodies and really helping people transform their lives emotionally, physically, mentally, to managing people and not doing what I loved. So I was in this space of having my time completely booked out with clients. And about 7.5 years ago, my husband and I, we came down with Lyme disease. And it took our family down. My husband was out of work for 3 months and we were on a path looking for, something outside traditional pharmaceutical medicine to be able to help us because it was not working, what our Western doctors were saying. And it's not their fault. It's just the system right now. It's a confusing type of condition to have. People don't know a lot about it. But I knew deep down that my husband was going down. And so at that point in time, I was out of massage. We had a 2-year-old daughter at the time, Rose. And then my husband was out of work and bedridden for 3 months. So at this point, I am on the phone. I am calling all of my, my healers, my people who are in the field and saying, what are you doing? And so we were put in front of a nurse practitioner who said, I want you to watch this ABC investigative news report. The science is real. The patents are there. My daughter's one of the very first distributors in Maine. And I was like, okay. Well, as soon as I saw the news report, like it was bells and whistles. It was very much an experience where I saw the difference between activation and supplementation. And I was like, wow, okay. So we put the products in our body right away and we had results. So I had less brain fog. I had, I had more energy. I was sleeping through the night, which is a big deal. When you're not sleeping, your life totally changes. So I knew something that was really different was happening in my body. And I thought, okay, let's look a little bit deeper. And what was happening at that same time was the fact that
muting themselves. I keep trying to mute people. Jesus. Okay. I just,
that's okay. So what was going on for us at the time too, was that we, financially, we were at a standstill. We couldn't really claim bankruptcy, but if we could, we would have. And so financially I was like literally responding to the ads that say stay-at-home moms earn $10,000 a month. And I was like looking at it and I was making those phone calls to see what it was about because I knew I was going to be at home and I knew, all these things were happening. So we needed a way to diversify because if I didn't have my hands on bodies, I was not making a paycheck. And the same with my husband. He was a contractor at the time. His lifelong, passion was, being athletic and outdoors. So all these things came to a screeching halt and that included the money. So that's when we sort of stepped out of our comfort zone to, and it really even wasn't out of our comfort zone. I was the one that was like literally every cell in my body said, I'm doing this. My husband, on the other hand, was the guy who like looked at every stone unturned and like, is this placebo? Like what's happening? Like he was the guy, who kind of did all that work where, for me, I just stepped and I went. So our journey was very much driven by the results and the opportunity at the time from our results with the product. Cause 2 weeks in, I was signed up on the highest pack with no money because I saw it, right? You remember, we know we're not going to run into people like that all the time, but I was like in with, the highest pack at the time was a Vantage pack, right? And it was all Protandim, and like the anti-aging cream. So in 2012, that's when we launched in September. And like I said, we hit Pro 5 right out of the gate. And so that Pro 5 stretch where we hit it really fast, but you know, there was that stretch of getting to Pro 7, right? And you do not have to take 7.5 years. That's the moral of the story before getting into like what it was like, because if you plug into the system and you understand the concept of leveraging a team, and it looks like you have a beautiful team, you've got 35, you know, got a team of people to actually support you and grow, you know, help you grow as an individual. I was coming from I'm pulling myself up by the bootstraps and I'm going to do it all. You know, I'm going to be the expert and I'm going to do it all. So it took us a while to be very realistic with the numbers. Our biggest hang up in that stagnation was getting the numbers, believing in myself that I could actually lead a big team of people, you know. So the quicker you know that, you know, that's like the biggest thing. Work harder on yourself than you do on actually the business. That's the takeaway here too. So by the time we're like going into the Pro 7 stretch, I mean, we had turned Pro 6, we had the volume of a Pro 7 because we had leadership happening on the team. It just was sort of out of balance. And, you know, turning into Pro 7 was a decision. You know, it honestly was the decision. You know, we had our team pulling through that said, okay, we're going to do our part. And then we had this chunk of time or of money, of volume that we needed to kind of come up with ourselves. And that was like magical, because I at the time I just made the decision and I said, I want to be the lighthouse for people to know that it is possible in the time of the coronavirus to rank advance and to have success. Because what I know is that these times are so rich in opportunity. And we just have to get out of our own comfortable space of thinking everyone's uncomfortable and not looking for this, and focus on the people that are. So for me, getting to 7, it was that dialing in of the mindset on a daily basis where it was, you know, I was not reading the news. I was doing my meditations every day. I was envisioning what was going to happen for us to be able to hit this. And so what it turned out to be was a really calm day of closing the gap. And what that meant was going on a walk in nature and finding 7s in every part of the stream and the path and the sky. And, you know, it was like the visual of 7. And then it was following my intuition. I mean, it sounds all really easy, but I literally followed everything that whole week that was leading up to this. I just tuned in and I listened to my internal guide. You know, I mean, we know how to do this business, you know, like many of you on this call maybe have been in a while, but I knew what to do. And it was around the relationships. It was around building, you know, kind of circling back to my very first distributor, Mary Bevington. She was in 7.5 years ago, she came on and life wasn't right. It wasn't a good fit at the time. And I just circled back and I simply asked her, like, how are you reinventing your life right now? What are you doing? Because she's, you know, and then it just got really real. I just had very real, intimate conversations with the people in my life. Like, you know, what is your next step? And, you know, and just became very vulnerable. And that piece of vulnerability of sharing what they were to how, like who they were for me was a really big piece of just that last part of, you know, kind of getting to 7. And, you know, it was the decision, you know, it really came down to the decision to be the lighthouse, like for the team, for the company, for people out there. So,
and you are. And I don't want to interrupt you, but I know you have one of those rising lights in your business is on this call right now. And I know that you want to recognize Cynthia, who's—
Is she on?
She is on here. So,
okay, awesome. Yeah.
And
so,
yes, go ahead.
So, yeah. So there was like the little chunk of like having the team rise up. And that piece of my transition from stagnating from Pro 5 into 6 was really around my looking to figure out what was missing and how I was moving in my business, because it's the plan, do, review when you're kind of stuck. And what I realized is that I needed this information to be in front of more people. And so with that sort of journey, I stepped into the networking groups and the Business Networking International and the BNI groups. And from there, one of the chapter directors kind of put me like right into a training called The Art and Science of Breakthrough Networking. And the title captured me, the languaging captured me, everything about it was just lit me up like, okay, I live in Maine, this is happening in Boston, I'm actually gonna go to Boston and I'm gonna make this happen. And I was doing that on a weekly basis anyway. So it was actually a little bit out of our family's comfort zone for me to do it. But when I feel it, that I gotta be in that room, that's what I did. So I go to this very first, kind of training, and I walked away with tools that awakened me to the idea that I was moving too fast into people with the opportunity. I was moving too fast because, like I said, on the corporate training, like my trust, if I get a good feel from you, I'm telling you, like you're in, right? And it's this feel, but not everybody works like that. And so I was learning quickly that what I needed to do to develop those relationships was, just like tending a garden. And Cynthia talks a lot about this, like how you move and develop relationships within your network. It allows there to be the space for you to actually add value to people in your world in a way that will allow them to lean into what you're doing. And so I walked out of that training with tools that I put to use that very next week. And I called her and I said, oh my gosh, I'm in this BNI setting. She mentioned she was in network marketing before, and so I was like, okay, what do you do when the president of your BNI chapter and the doctor want to sign up? And this is literally like taking the tools and then putting them to use, and then all this starts happening. So I called her, we clicked immediately, and I was drawn to her work and kind of helped her, I was a catalyst for her work, in a book club style that really brought some of this to the community. And so, and maybe maybe Cynthia could unmute and kind of take it from there, but it was like really magical. And so her experience there, can I have her unmute, Marissa?
Yes,
okay, good. Okay, perfect.
I'm on mute now.
Yeah, Cynthia, you're muted. Hi, you little.
Hi.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad you could jump on.
So honored.
Yeah. So if you want to pick it up and take it from there, because it is kind of, your experience with this is, I think, would add a lot to this group. And I know I don't want to take up the whole time.
I'll tell you, when I met this woman in the airport, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to the top. I could just feel her energy, and she was taking everybody with her. And Cynthia, you're in New York, right?
I would say my residence has been in New York for 11 years, but I'm taking refuge in remote New Hampshire at my dad's house.
Okay.
So I'm broadcasting from somewhere other than New York. But yeah, that's where for a year and a half, I built my business through my network in New York City. And I do have a network that's beyond New York, but I primarily my team, my biggest, I'd say except for one really big runner who's from Florida, because we went back 30 years. But everybody else, you guys, I was just consulting, training. I had a community of really beautiful thought leaders that I'd gotten to know in New York. And I used my like this very training that Sarah sat in on, which is like how to connect with people in a way that we don't ask for a withdrawal too fast. Like if I'm a gardener, to ask for fruit before I've made adequate fertilizer deposits. So that's what Sarah did with me. She attended my workshop that I did in Boston, the Science and Art of Breakthrough Networking. And she was like right in the front row, which by the way, if you want to get the attention of a presenter, sit in the front row and give them vibes. So right out of the gate, I'm like, who's this bright being in my front row of 40 something people in the seminar? And then all you did, Sarah, was look out for how to serve me. So here she was just staying connected to me. She found out that she loved what I was doing. She wanted to bring my advanced class to New England because I was doing it primarily in the New York area. and just the way you went about having me feel served and listened to, I literally fell in love with this woman. So our friendship grew first, and it seemed to be fast. Like we got to a place of trust and connection. And then when she said, I'm building this business with LifeVantage, I'd love you to hear what I'm working on. And I couldn't think of doing network marketing because I was in network marketing, and many of my clients, about a third of my clients, were in different network marketing companies. So I said, look, I could never do this because I have to remain Geneva, Switzerland neutral, but I will listen. And then I got so inspired that I wanted to be a referral source because I did realize that I want others to have network marketing. I just couldn't be in a company because I was neutral. I'm hearing some interesting doors and things going on in the background. Oh, there we go. And what's so cool is I started out as a referral source. I was referring people to Sarah because I was inspired by her. I was inspired by what she was, presenting. I knew it was important. I knew I couldn't do it. So I just made it like I was a connector. And then Sarah did the smartest thing. She said, would you like to sit in on the presentation that I'm giving to one of your referrals? Her name's Ellen. She goes, I'm going to be presenting Ellen the kind of the big picture. Would you like to see how I take care of your referrals? I said, I'd love to see how you're taking care of the people I referred to. And it was in that presentation with the slide deck and the 7 patents are listed. And she's talking about the background of the officers. And she's like, well, there's Taylor Warriors here. And I'm like, what? I've known Taylor Warriors since he was 10. What? He's there? She's like, blah, 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 Darren Jensen. I'm like, what? I know Darren Jensen's brother from 15 years ago. It was like the weirdest thing. And I just said, okay, I have to check this out. So I'm just letting you guys know it's all Sarah did was lead with service to the friendship and never came at me with the business until the friendship had gotten so solid. So sometimes that might take weeks. Sometimes that might take months. But what I noticed is it's the art of gardening. And so now I do that. There are people in my life. I didn't even tell any of my network marketing friends about this for a year. So my first year, all I did was talk to the people that I already loved, who had respect for me. And I brought something to all my non-network marketing friends. I wanted to test this. Does it work with people who don't have a background in network marketing? And those people who'd never touched network marketing fell in love with this and wanted to build something. And so that's what I knew. I had something to take to those who come from network marketing, because the problem with network marketing is if you don't have something that creates loyalty, fierce loyalty, the whole thing's a house of cards. And what we have here is something very special. And I really appreciate your including me. There's more stories, but I think that just kind of says it for now. And I did not know I was going to be sharing. I was just, wow, Marissa has a call. I'll jump on and listen. So here I am, just like to listen in.
So in the midst of all of this, what are your daily methods of operation? We have a DMO going on, where a lot of the people on this call are participating, where they're, reaching out social media wise or whatever way works best for them. But primarily, a lot of this is social media. What is your daily method of operation, Cynthia?
Well, I'm an unusual. Yeah, I'm unusual because I might develop people's social capital. I mean, that's my life. Is I am a master coach in the art of unlocking social capital, which is to me just another fancy word for your networking garden. I do almost nothing online. So I'm learning to open up my online channels. I have a ton of friends hanging out online, but I have so many people in my face that I know just from being in the community. I've only lived in New York 11 years and I know just tons of people. So I've decided I'm going to first kind of exhaust the ones I know well. And that was my first kind of couple hundred that I touched. And now I'm actually calling people that I haven't talked to in over 15 years. I just called two friends this past week, because my method is every day I look and my goal is to make heart calls. I call them heart calls. So I may or may not bring up the business.
I hate to do this. I need to jump. I'm so sorry, but I've got to jump onto the LVO that's happening at noon and I'm presenting. So thank you so much for having me. And I'd love to continue.
Thank you so much. We are so happy for you. Congratulations for you and your husband. You're so deserving, and continue to lead and love with your heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So great to have you on here.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Yeah, we have Carrie Dickey call in just a couple of minutes, so we'll wrap up in a couple minutes. But I wanted you to go ahead and
Cynthia
finish that, and any tips that you can give
so
people.
So my DMO is I actually start with the future. And every time I coach my team, I even say, what's the game? What's my why? And I can do this in like a matter of 2 minutes. Like, my why is this. Where do I want to be by the end of the month? And then where do I want to be by the end of the week? And then what is my game today that will support all of that? And it's really easy to get into daily to-dos, but I'm like, wait, what is this in reference to? So if someone's going for a rank advancement, they'll say, okay, this is the month, April, that I'm going Pro 6. That might be like, that's their game, or Pro 4 or 3 or whatever it might be. And then I made a list. I have 40 people that I have not talked to. I'm going to people I have not talked to in almost 10 years. They're on my Facebook, but I don't chat with them on Facebook. They haven't heard a peep from me. And I have been reaching out and saying, hi, I miss you and let's catch up. And I start with what I call a heart call, which is just like, who are they? What's happening? Oh my gosh, it feels like it was yesterday, but it's been 12 years. What's going on? And I don't mention LifeVantage except for what I call the sandwich. I think you guys will love this. So I use a paper calendar and I have colors. So wait, not green. My consulting business is orange. LifeVantage, of course, is blue. And then pink is like personal stuff in my calendar. So in my calendar, my paper calendar, I highlight things. So when I talk to someone and I do a heart call, a catch-up call, I call it the sandwich. I keep LifeVantage in the middle. I'm like, what's been happening to you? And they're like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Cyn, what's been happening to you? I'm like, well, my consulting business, it's been reinventing it to an online platform. That's been amazing. I've been working with a dear friend, expanding her biotech company's patents overseas. And my dad and I are getting to spend really great quality time together. It's been beautiful. How are you? I sandwich LifeVantage in between what they know me for and like, my dad, or something about my brother, or something family. So then later, that's all I say. They don't usually go, oh my God, tell me about that. They just go, wow, and they know something's up with Cynthia. And by the time I get their scoop, I go, by the way, I would love your take. And to get your sort of brainstorming power around the project I mentioned, the biotech company, and my very dear friend, I'm talking about Sarah, invited me to work with her in expanding her company's biotech patents overseas. And it would just be a beautiful thing. When can we grab 15 minutes together? Not now, because I just want to catch up with you, but when can we do that in the next day or two? It'd be so beautiful to do a little brainstorm together for 15 minutes. What works better for you, tomorrow morning, like 10 a.m. or tomorrow night at 8 p.m.? And that is what I do on my heart calls. Like, the heart call makes me feel inspired by them. Like, I can hear that they're a leader and they're not in the dumps. Like, if they're in the dumps, I'm probably not asking them. But if they're like turning around and there's a sense of power there, I'll ask that heart call to then turn into a call where I meet them for 15 minutes. And in that 15-minute call, I play the ABC. Like, I send it to them and I call them right back, or I'm on Zoom and I share it on Zoom because I want to be right there when they finish watching that 4-minute clip of the ABC. So that's been my model, like heart calls, connecting, flooding the garden with love, and then turning that into an invitation. So thank you for asking me that.
This is fantastic. Whoa, everybody give her hearts, and let me see your faces, people that don't show your faces. That's so not fair. Let's all give her some hearts. I'm going to take a picture here. Let's all give her some hearts. Come on. Come on.
I'm holding my phone.
Oh, that's great. Cynthia, we are so proud of you and your team, and keep going and lead from love as you do. I love these nuggets, and I will get the replay out, everybody. So I think you should definitely listen again to this, especially the last part of it. So much success to you and your team. Any quick nugget right before we jump off and get on Carrie Dickey's call? Any last nugget?
Could I just say that we Team Inspired Change / Team New England folks, Mia, myself, and Barbara on this call, are so delighted for this interface between the two teams. It means a lot to us. So thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dawn. Cynthia, any last minute thing that you would like to say? I can't unmute you though, for whatever reason. You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, there we go. It's just me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So the last bit is I let people know what my why is when I'm sharing. So when I invite a friend of mine today, she doesn't mean they're always going to say yes, but she got very moved by it. So she's a realtor that's really in a doldrums right now in the New York area. And I said, here's why I want you to know about this project. I said, I've had a dream for a long time to be influential with my favorite nonprofits. And I work my butt off as a consultant, and I knew she has the same situation. So, but I made it about me. I said, every year, I love my work as a consultant. I get paid when I'm in front of consultants, but I said, before this virus hit, I came to the awareness that I'm one injury, one illness, or one family crisis away from my income being taken away, I'm so vulnerable. I have an unsustainable household because it means if something happens, my income stops. So I have been looking at what I can do to diversify and provide that sense of balance so not all my eggs are one basket. I go, then this hits, and then wow, I'm so grateful that I began to build something that allows me to feel some stability while things change around with my consulting business. She goes, yeah, I know what you mean. So it doesn't mean she like jumped on the program because she doesn't even know if she's going to be living the same place. So she's in a swirl called it's the right time. But I suggested after she saw the ABC, I said, how about if we talk in like 2 months when you know where you're going to be landing? She goes, yes, can we revisit? But it was my why that had me, so she knew what made me look for something to add to what I do as a consultant. And I know she can identify because she's the kind of person as a realtor that only gets paid when she has a transaction. When that transaction's over, she's out of business. So I share my why very often and even how I open the conversation. And it makes me remember why I'm doing it and I get inspired. So my heart gets big too.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I wish we could have you on longer. We need to get on Carrie's call. But Cynthia, these were just everybody, the chat, everyone's going crazy. Absolutely loving this call. Dorothy, some of the best verbiage she's ever heard. So guys, take your daily method of operation today. Mia, I know you're going to say something.
I'll have Sarah. Sarah has my little snippet of the training that she attended with me. She's got that as an audio or video or something. I'll have her send it to you, okay?
Yes, please.
Breakthrough networking thing. It's like an online thing she can send you for free. Absolutely.
Well, Cynthia, thank you so much. And I can text you too. You've got my number and I've got your number. So.
Okay, yeah. Just shoot me your email and I'll email it to you.
Okay,
thank
perfect.
you, everybody.
I will do that. Mia, you have a thing and then we got to hop off.
Yeah, just a quick question. So Cynthia, obviously your heart calls are so much about nurturing. Even if they see the ABC, you don't necessarily go into the business spiel. You still are just kind of focusing on the why and connecting with that individual and seeing what they need before you take it to that place. Is that correct? Am I understanding that?
Well, the woman who was looking at the ABC, the realtor, like she was already aware that I have a project that I wanted her feedback on. So at that point, I'd gotten permission to talk about my business. So I first heart connect to see if it's been a stale relationship. And I check in. And then when I hear that they're thriving, I'll invite them to a 15-minute call where I brainstorm and show the ABC.
Thank you.
You just have to feel it, feel how things are going and how can we provide value to that person in front of us. Not what we want for ourselves, but how will this help them, and invite them to look at it. Like, are you open? I love using the word open. You know, if you're open to it, I'm happy to give you some information. People don't want to not be open.
That's so good. Beautiful. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Hey, and I just wanted to remind you about the next 30 days.
Love you guys so much, everybody.
Marissa,
get on the call. Okay. Yes.
I just wanted to remind you the next 30 days starting today with DMO.
Yes. Thank you.
Challenge.
Thank you, Anna. Say it. Go ahead and finish, Anna.
So we just finished up our second month in a row of the DMO challenge, 30 days, where you post every day what you're doing with your daily method of operations, and not just off the computer, but also on the computer on Facebook, making those new friends. So we're starting that challenge again today. I know Tanya Sheldon's team is kicking it off, and then we're going to continue with our team. So
yeah, Anna is stepping it up.
Excited about that.
Yeah, she's got her new distributor Roxy on here. Roxy's all fired up. Welcome, Roxy. We're excited for you. Be posting your DMOs on Vitality.
I'm going to start doing that.
What?
Say that again, Roxy.
I just said I'm going to start doing that today.
Beautiful. That's so wonderful. And I just love, Anna goes, I want to do all 30 days. I want it, like you're wanting to do the postings, right? The DMO postings, the pictures. I just
absolutely.
Like, girl, that's awesome. Go for it. So you, after Vicky this week, you go for it. We're going to let you do it. Okay.
Okay. Sounds great. We're excited. Thanks, Roxy. We'll do it together.
Okay. Oh, I love you guys.
Bye.
Night, Issa and I. I'm sorry. Issa and I are doing the 6 p.m. Wednesday. Listen, guys, don't get off success stories. success stories for people who have home-based businesses. That's going to be Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We're changing the time a little bit. Danny Stevens isn't going to be on that. Tom Spaniel, Tanya Sheldon, I believe Nikki Elsing, and myself. And most likely it's going to have to be Zoom into that Facebook group called the Health Conscious Entrepreneur. You are more than welcome to feed people into that page, but I would give them the Zoom link, because the way right now it's working with Zoom to Facebook, it is not working real well. So I would just much rather them have a Zoom link so they can get on. So just be inviting people that can be part of your DMO as well, so that they can just hear about people who have been successful in having a home-based business. We're not talking about LifeVantage. We're just talking about why and sharing our vulnerabilities and how this has changed our lives. Okay. And this is going to be continual. The following Wednesday, I've got some other people that will, that want to be on this. We're looking at like Pro 4s and above to be sharing, but always making exceptions. So reach out. Don't be afraid to do that. Okay. All right, everybody. Love you guys.